And we are officially live. Hello to all my BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to another rendition of La Nextrema, your NXT PLE review show here on BC WrestlePod Network. I am El Jefe of BC WrestlePod Mikey, and of course, joining me as always on these Wednesday evenings is my number one, the best man, the only man for me in my life. Just kidding, love him dearly. And of course, my right hand for all sorts of things. But Papa Osa is in the building, whom I appreciate, just like me, trying to cram all these things into for review. Listen, school is back in session, and even though Papa Oso and I teach different levels in terms of grade wise, it is still a lot. But we are here, and we are here tonight to review NXT's Heatwave. Um, I am going to put this blanket statement out. I like this show. I was like, I like the show, did not love it, but we will get into the ups and downs to some of this thing. I don't think it was a bad show, but it's really hard again when you put your product against other promotions. And just saying that Forbidden Door that I watched earlier was really, really fun. And NXT, I was like, y'all tried. But we'll get into those details a little bit later. I'm happy about some results, questions about others, which we will get into. But if you are new here to BC WrestlePod, we are a team of 14 individuals that review all sorts of wrestling, whether it be in the US promotions like the Fed of WWE, AEW, TNA, NXT, or even the independent scene like Game Changer Wrestling and so on, as well as our international brands that span the continents, including Progress, Rev Pro, CMLL, New Japan, Stardom, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, Defy here and up in Washington. There we cover everything. So we are happy to have you here. However you found us, whether through the YouTube, the Twitch, or the Kick, make sure to follow us on any of those streaming and video watching platforms of your choice that you prefer, and check us out whenever you can. However, we understand that time is important to everyone, and if you cannot commit yourself to watch a full length live review or the edited videos of said reviews, but still want to get involved with the community, then follow us all over the social medias at BC WrestlePod, where we do all the things and we interact with everyone. We do our report cards as well as, fun stuff. Clips will be coming back very shortly in the next couple of weeks or so, once I get settled into the new school year. But if you want to support us in a different way, like financially, while also getting something cool in return, we have merch available for you at bcwrestlepodshop.fourthwall.com is where you can find merch for all of our review teams, including some fun collections like our Summer Times Hot Boys Summer Collection, which I am sporting the tank top tonight. But fret not, this Hot Boys Summer, but you should probably get on that because our summer collection will be disappearing in a few days to make room for the fall collection. So I'm excited about that. We also have our Pride collection and our fascism collection, where those two piece collections will have proceeds to be donated to charity organizations, them being Point to Pride and the California Youth Immigration Justice Fund, which, is important in these trying times. Now, with that out of the way, again, link for the merch is in the description of the videos as well as in the chat here. So make sure to check that out and do all that goodness. Now that we gotten all that out of the way, we can jump into Heatwave proper. So, yeah, like I said, Papa, also, this was a show I liked. I did not necessarily love it, but I will say I feel like it was a little bit better than the last PLA we got from NXT, which was Great American Bash. So I was like, thank gosh, they actually had a really good stuff. But I have questions, which led into NXT. And by the end of NXT last night, we're not going to cover it, but I will talk about the highs and the lows of NXT. I have questions still. So, but yeah, Papa, also with to begin, what are your initial thoughts about overall how you felt about Heatwave?
It was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. I mean, it's better than some of the crap we've been watching lately, but it's not. It wasn't horrible. I enjoyed it. Some of the outcomes were really weird. Like really weird. Like I didn't get a couple, and I know we're gonna get to them, but I don't know. Everything that happened in this one didn't quite make sense.
Yeah, it's really weird. And again, I will kind of fill in the gaps as we go along with because I watched NXT last night. I'll be like, okay. So I'm going to say here that any of the backstage segments that happened during Heatwave, we're going to kind of just focus on the matches as well as any important announcements that were made at the shows. So let's just dive into it because Heatwave opened up with our triple threat. So this was an NXT Women's Championship #1 contender triple threat. Winner will get a future shot at the NXT Women's Championship, which is currently being held by our JC Jane. And this saw Jada Parker versus Lola Vice versus Kalani Jordan. I thought this was me personally, I thought this was a very smart way to open up the show because you have the women open up, which is always fantastic in my book. And again, this was nothing like a barn burner. I wasn't expecting anything too crazy, but this was a very solid match between all three women. Jada Parker, of course, is over with the crowd with her Miss Parker, entrance, as well as, other assets. And yes, emphasis on the correct word, which, listen, I'm one of these, so I'm allowed to objectify my men and women equally. But no, in all seriousness, Jada could beat me up, and I would let her because I'm not gonna fight her. Love you, Jada. But we also have Lola Vice, who has been really busy. NXT has been using her to kind of also send her to participate in any of the AAA shows in Mexico as well, which has been fun. But man, we say this every single time she is in a match, whether it's on television or at the pay-per-view. But Kalani Jordan, man, is just like one of those things. I'm like, she was our inaugural NXT Women's North American Champion, and I was just like, give her another championship. Like, Kalani once again proved in this match, like, throw her in a regular singles match, a triple threat, whatever you call it. Homegirl finds a way to look amazing. And not to say that Jada and Lola weren't, but I was just like, you know what? I picked Lola to win, but damn, I kind of wanted Kalani to win this by the end of it because of how amazing she is. So by the end of this, as the dust has settled with all, the goodness, Lola Vice does win, which means she is new women's champion #1 contender for the NXT Women's Championship. Papa Oso, what did you think about our triple threat opening up Heatwave?
Oh, I loved it. Of course, I agree with you. I think it was a great way to open it up. And all three of these amazing women did outstanding work. And I believe I think I picked Kalani to win this, but I was okay with Lola winning it too. Something I did find interesting though is the fact that Jada got pinned. It kind of surprised me actually.
I'm a little surprised too. And initially when I watched this, I was like, I wonder what's going to happen. And then to fill in the gaps for NXT, I was like, okay, now that Jada seems to be, it seems that Jada is going to be out of the title contention picture for right now because it seems that her and Lash are about to feud, which I'm excited for, to be completely honest. But now I think it just sucks for Jada because she's had 2 opportunities so far one was for the actual NXT Women's Championship, and then the other was, in this case, was for the #1 contendership. And Jada got pinned in both. So to refresh everyone's memory, earlier this year, back in April at Stand and Deliver for NXT, their big pay-per-view every single year, which is their version of WrestleMania, Jada got pinned to that fatal 4-way between her, Julia, Jordan, and Stephanie Vaquer. So, and then to see Jada get pinned here, I was like, dang, girl always gets close, but no cigar for her anyways. But her and Lash are going to be feuding, it seems, based on what I saw last night on NXT. Kalani Jordan, also, hopefully we get to see more of her, because I didn't really get to see much of her last night, but she did get a big win over Blake Monroe last night due to Jordan Grace coming in and wanting to whoop her to all ends of the earth, which is fantastic. But again, Lola Vice makes a lot of sense. Again, she is kind of building that bridge for AAA and all that not all that stuff. She participated at Triple Mania. She was there at Worlds Collide, which was also really, really fun as well. And yeah, I think all three of these women are going to find something to do. So this is going to be really, really exciting, and I cannot wait. So we move on to our second match. Ooh, let me get this slide going. There we go. Okay, so next up, we have our NXT Tag Team Championship match. So, of course, this was our defending champs, the champs going into this match, which was Hank and Tank taking on Dark State. So, we're literally playing by the Freebird rules here, which means that any two of these members could be it. And I believe Dion Lennox, and I'm forgetting the other gentleman's name, but they ended up being the two to be selected from Dark State to take on Hank and Tank. And here's the thing, right? I love Hank and Tank. I really, really do. I feel like we still had a little more juice left in quote, well, no pun intended, the tank for them as tag team champs. I just wish that, again, I know the story they're telling is that Dark State has the numbers because it was a 4-on-2 in reality, but I'm like, I kind of wish that wasn't how we lost these tag team championships, was because the numbers advantage allowed them to be distracted and like allow Dark State to pick up this victory here. And again, we've been saying it all the time. I wouldn't have an issue with Dark State being our tag team champs if it wasn't for the fact that their record on NXT has been kind of nuts, that they've lost most of the time. They've only won like 2 matches in the last month or so on NXT, and that's been multi-person matches because the other team can't get it together. And they also lost in another promotion because they lost at Slammiversary in TNA as well, which I was just like, I had an issue the whole way with Dark State getting a title match. And then the fact that they won makes me also kind of a little annoyed. Again, it seems that Hank and Tank are not done with Dark State because they beat them up last night. So Hank and Tank beat Dark State up, which was a lot of fun after their, match or whatnot. And I'm just like, we had something more with Hank and Tank, and honestly, this screams like, I don't know what we're gonna do, so let's have Dark State get these titles. So I was like, why though? But I digress. So again, like I said, Dark State is your new NXT Tag Team Champions. Papa, also help me make this make sense, because I'm like, what? This was the first questionable decision. I was like, huh? What is happening here?
I didn't get this at all. I didn't understand why this happened. I'm like, first of all, this match was not great. It was not great. I mean, it was, and which is kind of like insulting to Hank and Tank. I mean, this was a crappy match, and they lost to a crappy group. I mean, and I don't understand, and I agree with you. I think there was more in the tank for Hank and Tank. I think they had more to do, and I don't get Dark State doesn't deserve this. They haven't done anything.
Right?
I'm sorry.
They've mostly been losing, and they haven't really beaten anybody of note, to be honest.
No.
Like, it's kind of nuts, which is weird.
You give them this big win on a title? See, no. See, they should have, I would have rather them see them like go up against one of the big guys, the big names individually or whatever, beat them a couple of times before you give them a title. I don't get this. This does not sit well with me because I don't understand it. Considering there was no lead up to it. There was no, and I mean, I'm even like, you want a surprise. Oh my God, what a surprise upset. That's cool. But usually there's some kind of story involved. And I don't think there's any story here. At least I don't see one. I just see these 4 douchebags coming in, causing trouble, talking big game, getting their butts handed to them. And then all of a sudden, they walk into a ring and win tag titles? What? So I don't. This was my first what the fuck moment of this evening. Because I
It
don't
definitely
get
was.
this.
I'm
I
just
don't get
like,
it.
I don't either. Really quickly though, popping in a comment, a shout out to our good friend Nick from the Nick Wrestling Happy Hour podcast, showing us some love. I love you, Nick. I haven't. I'm sorry I haven't been able to call into your show on Fridays. I just started the school year and it's getting crazy out here, but we appreciate the support. But yeah, back to what you were saying, Will. I have issue because their track record in terms of wins and losses, where the losses are higher than the wins, and just the fact that they kind of got a title shot again. Like I said, Darkseid has done nothing to make me care about them. Again, I'm biased because I know of Saquon Sugars from the Independents, and I love him, but they have not done enough for me to care about this faction. And on top of that, too, now we're leaning into Cutler, James Cutler over here being very sus about certain things when he says, and then I was just like, okay, well, so unfortunately, Darkseid is our new NXT Tag Team Champs. So let's see what happens because yeah, it's rough out here. We got Darkseid, Hank and Tank, and honestly, we don't have a lot of men's tag teams right now, which is kind of crazy. I'm gonna be so for real. I know they're in Evolve, but I would love to see Swipe Right come and be a part of this because Swipe Right would be crazy fun. But I digress. So let us move on though, because this was also so I have mixed feelings about this, right? First of all, love it for Ash. Spoiler alert, she wins and she is the new TNA Knockouts champion. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, love that for Ash. She's been in this business now for 10 years, and the fact now she's getting this championship on any promotion, a singles title, is amazing, and I love that for Ash. Here's my issue with it, though. What was the point of JC then holding it? Because I thought in my head, and again, that's my fault, but before I get into my conspiracy theories, let me set this up. So this is a triple threat for the TNA Knockouts Championship. So JCJ, who is going into this match, our double champ of NXT Women's Champion and TNA Knockouts Champion, facing off against Ash by Elegance, who is using the Freebird rules, is one half of the Knockouts Tag Team Championships, and Masha Slamovich, the former Knockouts Championship, in which JC was the one to take the title off of Masha at Slammiversary. So again, in triple threat rules, champion does not need to get pinned or submitted to lose the championship. And that is exactly what happened here. So I think this match was very solid. However, and I know Ash's style of wrestling is not for everyone. And again, JC is very good too. I'm going to be completely honest. I feel like JC was a non-factor for a good chunk of this match. And I also felt like she was kind of off her game a little bit in the first half. Again, Ash's wrestling style is not for everyone, but JC was having a really tough time keeping up with Ash and keeping up, especially Masha too. Masha, we know, is very seasoned. She works with all types of wrestlers. So I was a little bummed for JC because I was like, girl, I know you got it in here. Maybe it was just an off night, but I was kind of disappointed in you, JC. Uh, and not that I'm disappointed because again, I love that Ash is our champion. I just, again, maybe it set something up, but I was like, I kind of also did not vibe with the fact that Masha also got pinned in this match too. So not only did JC pin her at Slammiversary, but Ash pinned her. And I was just like, it kind of frustrates me because I was like, I get it. NXT doesn't want their champions to get pinned, but I was like, I'm gonna be so for real, NXT. This was for the TNA Knockouts Championship. It's not like JC getting pinned for the NXT Championship, which is crazy. But I'm like, I think she could have gotten pinned here. So it's kind of frustrating. And I know that Masha's always good for it, but it's kind of frustrating to watch Masha get pinned in this match for Ash to win it because I was like, it is what it is. But if that leads into TNA where Ash and Masha have something going on, I'm kind of here for that. But that also is a double-edged sword because Masha was the one to get pinned. That means that Masha's going to have to work a little bit to get back into contention to face for that title again. And I'm kind of a little bummed too for JC because I thought she would have it for a little longer going into Bound for Glory and we can do something with this. But her TNA Knockouts Championship run has kind of been the best way to put it, because she won it at Slammiversary. We had it like defended maybe twice, and then she lost it. I was like, what was the point of her getting it then? Anyways, I digress. Papa also, what did you think of the whole triple threat for the TNA Knockouts Championship and then like the optics that are what I've been talking about?
See, this is another one I had a problem with. You know, I mean, it wasn't what it could have been. You know, and I agree with you. I think JC was offered game, but I think it was intentional. See, to me, it feels like it was intentional.
Which I guess kind of makes sense too, because again, now, well, here's the thing. So again, on NXT, we're creating the friction between the Fatal Influence girls has been there, but we kind of took it to the next step because, again, I'll get into it towards the end of the show. Ava announces that the WWE Speed Championships are coming to strictly for NXT, and NXT is going to hold a tournament for the women's ones, and Sol Ruca is the Speed Champion. And it's going to be one from main roster, NXT, TNA, and AAA. So more on that at the end of the show. But Jasmine Nix wanted to get into the fray with it, and JC's like, no, the person who deserves to get a shot at any championship gold is Fallon, not you, Jasmine, and basically calling her worthless without saying the words. So I was like, we took a step in that direction where I think Jasmine's going to cause some shit, and I'm here for it. But again, even with that information, I think it might have been intentional, but it was also weird because the Fatal Influence girls were ejected essentially during this match, and the Elegance brand girls were still here, which that's a whole nother thing because Ash won thanks to the Elegance brand pulling JC out after she hit the finisher. But yeah, I agree with you. Anyways, continue, my friend.
No, I mean, now don't get me wrong. I'm super happy that Ash has. I'm glad she won because I love me some Ash. You know that. But I don't know. Again, decisions were made here that really confused me. I don't know why Masha got pinned. I don't know why JC didn't get pinned. Because, well, actually, thinking about it, they probably didn't want JC to get pinned because they didn't want her to look any weaker than she already is. So that would make sense. And no offense to JC Jane. This is character, not wrestler. The fact that because she hasn't been doing that, she hasn't been the best champion. You know? And I think that if she had gotten pinned here, it would have made her look super weak. And I think they're trying to keep her somewhat looking strong as she goes on to the next thing. So, and I figured Masha wasn't going to get it, unfortunately. But so in order to do that, you have to pin Masha, which sucks. You know, but see, there's so many logistical issues I had with this match. I mean, I enjoyed watching these ladies go to town, but for the most part, but I just the logistics here were just weird. I don't understand. I don't get it. I really don't.
It was rough. Like, here's the thing. So on paper, Ash is the biggest winner because she's our new TNA Knockouts championship. But in reality, because of how we booked things and how certain things happened, I was like, no, none of these three won anything. I was just like, it was rough go. And again, the in-ring was fine. It wasn't bad. It just like, again, this was the second part of the show. It's like, I have lots of questions. And that's also going to lead into TNA on Friday too when we discuss this, because yes, we are going to talk about this, not in depth, but we're going to mention this, and the four of us are all going to have a conversation about, what went down, like what is happening. Like, it's kind of crazy. But still, nonetheless, because I got to interview her as my first wrestling interview ever. Shout out to Ash by Elegance for letting me do that, because she's very, very sweet and love her. But congratulations to Ash by Elegance for finally being able to hold a singles championship. She is our new TNA Knockouts champion. So this is going to be fun. And I can't wait to see now we got one title back in TNA. Now we just got to get the men's title back from Trick, which I think we'll get at Bound for Glory, but I digress. So let us move on into our fourth match. And Papa also, hands down, this was my match of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. In the 12.5 minutes, Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe, formerly known as Mariah May of AEW, showed us this, like, oh, so this is what two women who've been in this business for a while now come together and tell a great in-ring story with a good wrestling. Like, oh my God, this, again, easily hands down my match of the entire night. And you know what? Again, it's crazy because this was the best story leading into Heatwave with the development and what we got into the weeks leading into this match. And again, we talked about it on the Go Home show last week, and also when we did our predictions. I was like, you know what? This is the only match where I'm like, I'm fine either way, whoever wins. Of course, we're both of us lean towards more Jordan Grace because that is our girl. But I also love Blake Monroe, again, because I am familiar with her work in AEW. But damn, this was a really solid match. They showed up and showed out. I was just like, again, all you're missing is a championship, because this felt like a championship match in the 12.5 minutes that we got. And I think that's the only thing that makes me mad. But I digress. Papa, also, what do we feel about this encounter between, Muscle Muffin herself, Jordan Grace, and, of course, the glamour, Blake Monroe?
Well, I agree with everything you said. Truly, the one thing I had, it wasn't really a problem. It wasn't like an issue, but I noticed I don't feel that Jordan Grace came at Blake Monroe with the full vengeance that she could have. I mean, she hit hard. Don't get me wrong, everybody. This was my match of the night too. But Blake Monroe has been attacking her personally, and if it were me and I was built like Jordan Grace, I would have buried her with the anger that I had in my body. I would literally have buried her, and I don't feel that Jordan ever got to that point. I really wanted to see this match be personal, and it didn't feel personal. It was a very professional match. It was good, guys. It was really good. But it didn't feel personal on Jordan's part. And I really kind of wanted to see more of that, because, Blake's been attacking her like boom, 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 boom. And, embarrassing pictures here and this secret there. And I mean, she's just been railing on her. And then I really wanted to see her come in and just demolish her. I mean, win or lose is irrelevant. I just wanted to see this idea of like just try to annihilate her. Then it's like, this is what you get for talking shit. And I didn't feel it. I don't feel that it quite got there. I felt that she was pounded away like Jordan Grace does. But I don't feel that it got where I, as a fan, wanted to see it get to. I really wanted to see, and of course I wanted Jordan to win, because, in this instance, the idea of this particular instance, she's the underdog. And I really wanted the underdog to win. I really did. But, hey. But again, it's my match of the night. It was solid. These two women, man, they were good. They were doing it. This was a beautifully professional match.
It really was. And again, on NXT, because Jordan Grace distracted Blake Monroe to allow Kalani, well, not allow, but have, which will, for Kalani to capitalize to pick up the win over Blake last night. At least it seems we're not done with this feud, which makes me excited because now, and to your point of what you said, I'm really hoping now that we step it up into the next like logical way of like storytelling. And I was like, okay, maybe Jordan kind of pulled back a little bit, but again, No Mercy's coming up very soon. So let's have them go crazy at No Mercy. Like, again, if we have like a match kind of like we did with Tiffany and Becky at No Mercy last year, like I'd be here for all of that. So that'd be fun. But again, Blake Monroe wins through the help and the assistance of an unpadded turnbuckle, which is also, a good way to be like, Jordan's like, you didn't beat me fairly, so let's up the ante. So this was fun. And again, match of the night, so good. Alrighty, before we get into our next match, though, it was at this point of the show that NXT decided to announce a lot of things. And so that's going to be the important part here for us. So, of course, we get 3 things announced. So, on September, what is it, 16th or 17th? Excuse me, bless me. I believe it's the 16th or the 17th. I can actually double check right now because I can. So September 16th is a special TV edition of NXT in which they have touted it as NXT Homecoming, in which NXT will be in their former home of the Full Sail campus in Florida for the evening. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But Papa, also the most important things for us, because of course we cover NXT every other weekend, every week on Wednesdays anyway. So the TV episode should be fun. But the biggest things that came out of these announcements is we got the 2 next pay-per-views lined up for NXT. So Saturday, September 27th, we have the official date for NXT's No Mercy. So that is going to be in a couple of weeks. And then we also got on Saturday, October 25th, is going to be NXT's Halloween Havoc. And it's going to be in Arizona, which is crazy too. So I was like, oh my gosh, NXT pay-per-views in the West? That's crazy. Anywho, I mean, here's the thing. No Mercy and Halloween Havoc usually tend to be one of my, outside of Stand and Deliver, tend to be like my 2 favorite shows that I love. No Mercy ends up being my favorite, but yeah, we have our next 2 PLEs lined up for NXT. So I'm like, okay, now listen, as somebody who schedules a lot of things, I love it when I'm told ahead of time, be like, hey, these are the pay-per-views. So I'm like, good to know. So that way I can put these in our BC WrestlePod calendar and get it all together, because the fall is going to be nuts for everybody. So after those announcements, we get into our 5th match of the evening. And okay, again, in-ring wasn't bad, but I feel like this was like my least favorite match of the entire night. And I think that is because I'm going to be so for real. I blame Ethan for all of it. I'm just kidding. Again, the in-ring is fine, but here's the problem. So Tara May Steele, love her. She is newer to the NXT audience, so she's like still getting, the support from the crowd. Tavion, I love Tavion. I really, really do, but I feel like the crowd is not giving the energy that we need. And I think the 2 biggest glaring issues is that it's going to be really hard to, even though they lost, it's going to be really hard to get Tara and Tavion over in NXT when you have Chelsea Green, who is mega over with the crowd. Chelsea Green can do no wrong in my eyes, and I love her down. I think the issue that I had with this match is that, plus, like, I feel like anytime we get Team USA versus insert any country here gimmick in 2025, the crowd is not here for the nationalism that is this thing. I don't call it patriotism, it's nationalism, y'all. It's out of control out here. And in 2025, wrestling fans are not here for any of the Team USA versus insert said country here. And the fact that in order for the crowd to boo Chelsea and to Ethan had to cut a whole miniature promo in the middle of this match. I was like, what the hell is happening? And I was like, we did not need that. This is not an NXT television match. This is a pay-per-view. Why are we cutting promos in the middle of the match? Of course, Team Canada does beat Team USA. I was just like, I'm disappointed with everything involved in this. I was just like, Ethan as champion irks my soul. It irks my soul, but like in-ring was not bad. It's just really hard when you have certain people be super over and you're supposed to boo the bad guys, but we're cheering Chelsea Green because even though she's technically a bad guy, like she is also an icon and an ally, and she calls out the BS. Like, it's great. But Papa also, like, I was excited and then I left disappointed. What'd you think of this match? I know, right?
I did not like this match. Again, I wanted to because, well, one, I wanted Tavion to beat Ethan's ass. I just anything Ethan Page is involved in, I can't enjoy. And it's because I think he's doing his job as this sort of idiot, whatever. But I think it's gone too far. And now I'm just sort of like, what else you got? Is that it? Same shit, different day? So I'm just, eh. And I thought this match was kind of sloppy. I mean, it was sort of all over the place. It was like they had 5 minutes to rehearse it, and then they're like, "Go." It's like it just felt unrehearsed. It felt, I don't know. It literally felt last minute. I think that honestly and truly, if this match didn't happen, we wouldn't have missed it.
No, and that's the bummer too, because despite this go home segment, which was kind of stupid and too long, I was still excited for Tara and Tavion finally getting a especially Tavion being a single star now, getting a pay-per-view match like this against, Ethan Page. It is what it is, but Chelsea Green's great too. By the way, this is a side note. The pictures that we pick for Chelsea are always fantastic. I was like, yes, Madam President, go off. Her gear. I mean, the silver lining is Chelsea's gear is always one of my favorites. But yeah, the match I was disappointed. I was like excited. And by the end of it, I was like, you know what? We could have probably had something else here and I would have been okay with this. Like, and honestly, because of how sloppy it is, it felt like an NXT TV match, and then instead of a pay-per-view match, because again, mistakes happen. This is a live, thing that is happening, and mistakes can happen. However, point blank period, comma, there has to be a certain level of quality for pay-per-views, in my personal opinion. We can't just go and half-ass it, half out here. This is a pay-per-view, y'all. I know this is not stand and deliver, but we gotta have different expectations as performers and fans for pay-per-views like this.
I mean, it literally felt like a pre-show match.
Ooh, you know what? That's the best way to describe it, because now, you know what? I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, when you go to a concert and you have the opening act that no one really gives a shit about, but they'll listen to it. They're kind of like, no, okay, that was this. This was sort of like, oh, okay, all right. When I'll bring on the real act. It was just, yeah, it was disappointing. I'll put it that way. It was disappointing.
Yeah, and you know what? It is what it is. Ethan Page and Chelsea Green win. Over on NXT last night, Tara was able to beat Alba Fire, which is, one of Chelsea's secret Hervis members, only for Ethan and Chelsea to beat up Tavion and Tara. Tavion getting draped over into the Canadian flag I was like, all right. I was just like, I'm going to be so for real. I love Chelsea. I really do, but I want her and Ethan to separate so we can have two singles feud and continue with this tag team feud, because I feel like Tavion versus Ethan is good enough, especially if it allows Tavion to get a chance at that title. And then Tara versus Chelsea would be great, but it is what it is. So let's get into our main event though, because okay, so again, I actually really like this match. However, well,
I didn't dislike it either.
I was just like, how dare. I was like, okay, let me rephrase. I liked it enough, I should say, because I feel like I like it is too general. I liked it enough. There's a couple issues that I had with this. Obviously, number one, Javon not winning is a big, multiple points down. Just kidding. But I was like, damn, Javon always, again, is another one that always gets so damn close, and then he doesn't get a chance. But here's where I had a big problem with this match. The moment where we think Javon won, and it was like we wasted like 3-4 minutes of this match figuring all that out, I was just like, that was unnecessary. Especially, again, now when I watched this, I was like, okay, I'm willing to give this like whole ending sequence a chance if that means that Javon gets another shot at No Mercy. Then at NXT last night, that's not the case. I was like, then what was the point of this whole spot if that doesn't mean Javon doesn't get another shot at this? But I'll get into that in a little bit. The second thing is, once again, I love Javon that he's crazy, but this is the second time, and I'm not blaming anybody because there's a factor of things that go into it. I need Javon to take like maybe 2 or 3 weeks a break from getting thrown or jumping into tables, because go home show, Trick Williams assisted with Javon using the ropes and completely overshot the table, and I thought he died. Then Obafemi throws Javon into said table, and also Javon misses it and clips the table for it to break, but I was like, he got thrown to the floor. I was like, Javon, I need you to take breaks from getting thrown to tables, because these near falls, I was like, oh my God, I think he landed on his forehead, or oh my God, somebody check his neck. Like, it's getting out of hand, and Javon is too young to be having these kinds of issues or getting seriously hurt like that. Neck injuries are no joke. But Obafemi does retain the NXT championship, and I was just like, why? I feel like we could have had Javon get a shot, and I was just like, this is the second time that Oba has beat Javon now. And I'm like, gosh dang it.
I don't understand why Obafemi still has this damn title. I don't understand it. It's like he literally has beat everybody in the locker room at least twice. Some people more than that. What are they waiting for? I mean, are they waiting for a big pay-per-view? Is it the important pay-per-view for him to lose it? Is that what it is? Which is stupid. It's like, give the damn title to someone else. I mean, Javon, I mean, hello. I mean,
trust me, I feel you and I understand it, because now, okay, so again, we kind of set our piece with this match, right? So so Oba wins. We end the show with Ricky Saints coming out to come face to face with Oba as the show ends. And to kind of further this a little bit further, NXT last night, Ricky started off the show. He cuts a promo. Josh Briggs interrupts. Ava makes a number one contendership match for the NXT championship. Ricky beats Josh, and so it's going to be Oba versus Ricky at No Mercy. And at this point, I was just like, on the one hand, I'm like, I will take anybody to take this title off of Oba, because Oba has gone through this whole roster already. And I had to make sure that Oba and Ricky, in the short time that Ricky's been here, that they haven't linked up yet. So Ricky has not challenged Oba for the championship, so there's still hope. On the other hand, I'm like, I don't know how I would feel, and not to say maybe he'll grow on me if they build this correctly, but I'm not too keen on Ricky being the one to dethrone Obafemi, only because the feuds that Ricky has been involved in included a way too long feud with All Ego Ethan Page, and then a quick short feud with Jasper Troy of all people too. And I'm just like, okay. I was like, on the one hand, I'm here for anybody at this point to take the title off of Oba. The problem I'm having is I'm not sure, unless they can turn it around in the next 3-4 weeks or so. I'm not vibing with Ricky being the one, because we haven't built Ricky up, or Ricky hasn't given me anything to be like, you know what, Ricky, I want you to win. I mean, I want him to win, but that's because there's no other option left at this point.
Well, all of his encounters. I'm not going to say they're any type of rivalries at this point, but all of his encounters have been happenstance. They've been secondary. Like he's literally a tertiary character in the main story who gets hit by a tree branch by the lead the hero, and then suddenly he's like, "Oh, now I have to fight you because you hit me with that tree branch," and it's just like, yeah, I mean, I like him. I think he's he grew on me, but if he takes the title off of Oba, that's gonna be it's just weird. You know, and honestly and truly, if he takes it off of Oba, I can't imagine he'd hang on to it for very long.
That's the other thing too, because I'm like, and we kind of talked about it a little bit. I feel like of everyone, maybe if he works on his promo skills just a tiny bit, or let him go full throttle like when he was in AEW, Ricky, I feel like, is ready to just go to the main roster too. But again, and as somebody who watches the main roster, like, I love Julia and Stephanie, but both of them right now are not being given the time they deserve, and it's kind of pissing me off, so to speak. But tune in for our Sunday reviews from time to time, and you can hear all four of us talk about that. But yeah, I'm like, and you know what? Maybe there'll be something, but what I need from Ricky in order for me to, get on the bandwagon for him to be like, you know what? I'm a rah Ricky, for him to be Oba and not it because there's no other option, but because I want him, because I think he's great. NXT needs to do something and grab me like they did with Jordan and Blake, because at first I wasn't too keen on the Blake and Jordan feud because we saw fat Jordan pictures, and I was like, I'm not vibing with the vibe of this whole thing. And then they turned it around, and Jordan Grace turned it around with that one freaking promo, where that sit down interview that she did. I was like, you know what? I'm on board. Let's go. So I need something like that from Ricky. Otherwise, I'm not going to care about it. The other thing that we find out too from last night's NXT episode 2 is that Lola will be getting her chance at the NXT Women's Championship at No Mercy as well. So both of our singles championships are on the line. And Will, you know what that screams to me? That means that either one, both, or none of these championships will be changing hands. But my money is that at least one of these championships, I think, is changing hands at No Mercy, if both singles championships are on the line like this in a one-on-one. And who knows, they might add stipulations to it. So we shall see about all that. But that is going to be it. That is the end of our Heatwave review. Again, I liked the show enough. I did not love it. Again, because we agreed that our standout match was Blake and Jordan, but there was a lot of things and decisions that were made and optics. I was just like, I don't know if I'm vibing with all of this. I'm excited for some of the feuds we're getting thanks to Tuesday's NXT. Like, I think Lash and Jada is going to be on and popping the main event. But the other thing too is that in the main event, the Fatal Influence girls lost to the team of Lola Vice and Zaruka, which was actually a really great main event. Love seeing the women main event, as they deservedly do so, because they're amazing. But yeah, I'm interested to see where we go in the next couple of weeks as we build towards not only, the first stop is going to be NXT Homecoming, the special TV episode where we're probably going to get crazy stuff happen. But then we're on the road to No Mercy. So we shall see what the next couple of weeks of NXT television look like for us. But before we sign off for the evening, to kind of give you a glimpse into the future, so to speak, let's take a look at what remains for this week. So in a matter of about an hour and a half or so, Papa Oso and I will be back to be doing our CMLL review, hopefully. Very fun show. And you know what? I'm excited because CMLL usually never disappoints me. So I'm like, this should be fun to talk about. And I'm excited because we are finally here. We are gearing up towards the Grand Prix, which is this Friday. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. Tomorrow evening at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, Andrew and I will be jumping across, the pond, so to speak, as we will be reviewing Progress Wrestling's 100 Volts show, in which we had banging matches, funny moments, and we're going to break down all the British wrestling for all of you tomorrow evening. Then on Friday, the Takedown Troop is back in full effect as we review another episode of TNA, as we are now on the road to Victory Road and also Bound for Glory in certain cases. And then we wrap up the week this Saturday as I will be going solo, alone, solito, as I do a morning review for Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor, which is Ring of Honor's next pay-per-view, which should be a lot of fun as well. Papa also and I got to get up on out of here. But we would like to thank you for tuning in to La Nextrema. We will be back next week to cover another episode of NXT. But until next time, from all of us here at the La Nextrema, as well as the BC WrestlePod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will catch you later for our CMLL review tonight. But until then, this is Sayonara, adios, and until then, peace.